We slate.
Should I do one?
Sure, if you want. What's up, man? We're back. This is episode 2.
So dose, baby. Yeah.
Episode 2 of the podcast that we still have not named.
Still nothing.
Hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, we have named it.
Hopefully it's a fire name, too.
It's gotta be.
I gotta check that out.
It's always a good hang.
You know what's been weighing on my mind a lot?
Hit me.
Mental health and shit.
No, seriously.
I've felt cooked lately.
Yeah?
My brain's in like a frying pan, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Doom scrolling and shit.
Yeah.
I just gotta throw Instagram in a fucking wood chipper.
Yeah, I think this might be a good opportunity to shout out Brick.
Dude, Brick.
We are in no way endorsed by Brick, but we both use this app called Brick, and they send you a physical brick. I mean, it's not a brick, but it's a little tiny square thing. And you use this app to lock apps of your choosing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So in the last episode, we talked about camping. We bricked before we went camping.
Yeah.
So you could even say we were bricked up.
Yeah. Not that we had service.
Yeah.
I took it a step further. I bought this thing called the Vault. Did I tell you about this thing?
Oh my god! I think you did.
You literally put your phone in it, and it's just like you can't get to your phone. And then you like set a time, like 3 hours, and it's like, God forbid you're getting murdered.
That's great.
You're in the vault. You
Oh my
can't do
gosh.
shit. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think you said it, man. Today's episode is about health and wellness and navigating the crazy world that we live in a healthy way, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people think they're healthy, and they're just not.
Sure.
I don't know. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to be healthy to you?
I feel like the first word that comes to mind when I think about being healthy is balance.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, obviously you have your big categories. You have physical health, you have spiritual health, you have mental health. But I don't know if they're out of balance. It just for me, and I'd like to stress that pretty much everything I'm going to be talking about in this episode is going to be anecdotal. For me, they have to be even.
Okay, interesting.
Right, and so that could be anything from, maybe I got my gym workout in that day and I ate good food and, did some work for my career, but my room wasn't clean. I have to clean it because it feels like I can't do other things until that's done.
Okay.
Right, because how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Right.
And so,
right. That's a good point.
They all kind of tie together for me, but I guess
for me, they inform each other, kind of.
Right.
Like if I take care of my physical health, my mental health improves.
Yeah.
Usually the physical, it starts with the physical. That's like the root of the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if I give that water, I'm in a better mood. I'm in a better mood. I'm more productive.
Yeah.
I'm happier and I'm doing better work. Like that's
Right.
how it works for me, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, find me one person that doesn't feel better after they work out.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm kind of stating the obvious here.
But I think it's important and it's worth noting.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
think it's a good point.
Absolutely. How do you define your spiritual health? Just like your connection to yourself?
Yeah, your connection to yourself. If you're a religious person, your connection to God.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I've been exploring in the last couple of months is my connection with God. I mean, I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church, and there was something about growing up in that church that I just didn't like. I mean, it just didn't catch me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was stuffy, and that's not to say that all Roman Catholic churches are like this, but after some recent events in my life, I was sort of looking for, I don't want to say I was looking for answers because I wasn't, but I was looking for some sort of rock, some sort of grounding mechanism And I found that going to church started to provide me, at the very least, a once a week check-in.
Yeah.
With not only God, but with myself.
Right,
More so myself, right? It's kind of time to check myself.
Right.
Is
there like a sense of belonging too when you roll in there, and it's like you
Yeah.
feel like you're part of something? Kinda?
Absolutely, man.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as it's for good.
Right.
You know
If it contributes to the, the positive.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's certainly nice to be surrounded by people that are trying to improve their life in the same way. And, I respect a lot of different viewpoints on religion, right? And I like to look at it more so as faith,
Yeah, me too.
right? More so than religion. I feel like that word kind of boxes it in. And the way I see it, man, you should be able to walk in there and just, like, no matter who you are, you should be able to get something out of it. Right. You could walk into a church not believing in God and leave the same way, but the opportunity is still there to draw something positive from it.
Right, absolutely.
And it's unfortunate that people weaponize it, but I don't, at its core, I don't think that's what it is. So, spiritual health has been huge for me, especially in the last couple of months, man.
Well, good, man.
Thank you.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, as life has gotten increasingly crazy, just with my career and just the busyness of life, man.
Just trying to find the balance, kid.
Right.
It's tough
yeah.
to find it.
Yeah. The wellness journey is a rocky start.
You're absolutely right.
And it takes, how do I put this? It takes
massive discipline, I think.
It also takes a rock bottom sometimes.
Yeah.
To start it.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
I mean, I think we can both speak to the fact that we were degenerates.
Oh, man.
At a certain point in our lives.
Healthy amount of darkness in the past, yeah. But we've turned the corner for sure.
Right.
Sorry, I just located a spider up on the ceiling. Is that a spider?
Yeah, it's been there.
Oh, it's been there? Okay.
Yeah, it's exposure therapy.
I'm glad you know about it, because
it's fine.
imagine having your back to a spider.
It's just a daddy long.
It's just a daddy long. We're good.
How you think? Anyway, but I like that. I like that point of discipline, and I want to kind of interject here and make it so incredibly crystal clear that we're just speaking from our own experiences here.
100%.
Right. In no way, I don't want this to sound preachy or anything, because everybody has their own systems and modes that are going to work for them, right? And what works for me is not going to work for someone else, necessarily. So, but on the note of discipline, I've found that to be tied to this idea of systems, right? I think it's an idea from James Clear, but I have to credit Michael Smoke of Higher Up Wellness for this one, because I was watching his videos, and he always quotes James Clear of, we don't rise to the level of our goals, but rather we fall to the level of our systems.
Habits, essentially, right? Systems.
Right. Essentially.
Right.
But you have to think of them as your bare minimum.
Okay.
Right? Like, what are some examples of your systems, right? You wake up at the same time every day, or you wake up you try to wake up in a certain time frame. You try to get 10,000 steps a day. Mm-hmm. You try to, I don't know, maybe you take a cold shower, or you go for a run when you wake up. These absolute bare minimum things that, for me, I can't look at them as extraordinary, because then they seem lofty. Right. So these things have to be like, of course I do that in the morning.
Okay.
That's just part of my routine. It's without question. Right. So this idea of systems, I think if you can really nail those down, will start to form your discipline in a way, because, you look back in hindsight and you go, oh, I'm doing it. I'm already doing it.
Right.
And I think another point to touch on here is motivation. Right. And that's a loaded word.
Yeah. I mean, you can't wait till you have it to get after it.
Right.
Because it's not always there. I mean,
pretty fair weather friend.
Yeah. I mean, I feel pretty unmotivated a lot of the time. So
right.
I think the real successful people, as far as getting, at least in the realm of, well, I guess in the realm of anything, not just fitness, but health in general, is like, even when you don't want to eat that, plate full of broccoli and whatever, you do it anyway. Like, you don't go grab that, you don't hit the drive-through, or you don't, I don't feel like going to the gym today. Well, I'm going to go anyway. I'm going to lace them up.
Do 20 push-ups.
Yeah.
And then leave. Like, I don't know. Motivation is a tricky thing, because I think you said it best. It's not reliable, and I don't know. Like, your systems have to be reliable, right? You have to count on stuff that's going to show up for you every single day. So this idea, and I experienced this a lot as a songwriter, right? I'm not the type of person who, or I used to be the type of person that would only write when inspiration struck, right?
Right.
But that's like sitting in a field and waiting for gold to fall out of the sky instead of digging for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I want to bring up The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield right now, and like how much that opened my eyes too.
Yeah.
That concept, he touches on, like, you got to put your ass in the seat, and the muse will deliver the inspiration to you.
Right.
You have to like be, you can't wait for that kind of stuff. You have to,
Right.
you got to sit down and do your work.
Right.
And like, you'll be inspired.
Yeah, I find it interesting in that book. He touches on this idea of the fact that there's a realm, right, that you have to reach into.
Right.
And
right.
that, and I think, like,
it's almost like a membrane kind of.
If you want to think of it in a physical sense.
Right.
I mean, I find it very interesting that the artist is the one that has to initiate this action, right? He says, reach into that realm, right? And you have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
Whether you're curious or not, I really think that if you can get systems in place that will make it easier and kind of remove resistance, another Pressfield
that's a big
word there, I think you'd be on the right track, man.
I think resistance is what crushes most people from getting healthy in general. There's just so much of it. Like, it's everything.
Right.
You got to read the book because it's money.
Yeah. Would highly recommend The War of Art. If you're any kind of creative, honestly, I think people who aren't necessarily creative focused could get a lot out of this book as well, just as a human being.
If you have any ambitions to do anything,
right.
You want to run a marathon, you want to start a business, whatever.
Yeah.
You could take something out of that book for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
It's a great book.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Well, on that topic of discipline, I kind of want to talk about who we used to be.
Okay.
Right? I know it's a weird subject, right? Because I don't know how you feel, but for me, it feels blurry.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really know the old me. That's the funny thing. It's like you haven't.
Right.
You've met me in this period of time. We've been friends where I've been, sober for the most part.
Yeah.
Clean and pretty healthy. And I used to be somebody who it just makes me cringe thinking about some of the stuff that I used to do. And I'm really blessed to like be able to look back and be like, I don't really do that anymore. And I'm not, certainly this is not coming from a place that is like hating on people that, do whatever, get banged up all the time, or because that used to be me. And I certainly like, I'll hang out with my friends now, and they're all drinking and stuff, and that's all cool. And I just choose not to, and they support me. I think it's really important to have people that support you, and you've supported me. But yeah, let's talk about those cats, because they're wild.
Yeah. I guess my question for you is, when was that for you?
Okay, that's a good question. Honestly, I was a pretty studious cat in like high school and stuff. Like, I didn't party too much, like really at all in high school. I was like, I was a straight A student. I went to school, whatever, and just was dialed in kind of. But when I had a drink here and there maybe, but college is where I really started to be like, okay, whoa. Like I started drinking a lot, started smoking weed every day. You know, other substance PEDs were involved sometimes, but it wasn't insane until I really got out of college and was working. I was working at a bar on campus. I worked there for a number of years, and I mean, man, I'm an introvert, and I'm working at a bar. You know, there's a lot of students coming in, a lot of people coming in, and it was hard for me in my 20s to work at a place where, you know, it's such a, you know, as an introvert, I got to be an extrovert 6 nights a week.
Right.
That was difficult for me. And like, you know, I'm also like a kid in his mid 20s who wants to have fun, you know? And like, I feel like, all right, now I'm working all the time. So I'm being like, I felt like I was being stripped of that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I was like, I want to have fun. And like, this is also like sometimes uncomfortable for me. So drinking became a crutch in a lot of ways. And I would drink way too much and get banged up so frequently. And man, it started to take its toll on me, you know, and I did that for like years kind of where I was getting banged up. I mean, 4 or 5 nights a week probably, which is just dark.
Yeah.
And I started realizing like, yo, I might have a little bit of a problem here. Like, and, yeah, it was, I just started feeling unhealthy. Like, you know, have you felt unhealthy? Like you just feel unhealthy?
Yeah. You know, your body intuition kicks in.
Yeah. It's just like I felt like my organs weren't working right. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent, like I was just getting up every day and like, I felt like ass kind of.
Right.
And like my mental health was in shambles and yeah, it was just, and I was smoking weed all the time and I was just cooked mentally, like
Yeah.
dopamine, just nothing. So,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Do you feel that you would drink and get banged up as a bartender to compensate for the fact that you were on that side of the bar and not the other side?
Definitely sometimes.
Like,
yeah.
was there a FOMO?
100%.
You know, were you 3 feet of bar away from not experiencing FOMO?
I felt like I was kind of experiencing it, but I also like I worked every weekend. So
Right.
there was some part of me that was like, I don't get to go out with my friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I felt like I was missing out to some extent. So I was like, I'm going to drink a little bit too. And you know what I mean? It was just a toxic move.
Right. You cut up in the atmosphere of it all.
Yeah. And, you know, also the introvert thing, like I was like, you know, I'm talking to people all night and stuff. So I was like, if I had a few shots in me, like it was easier to do.
Right.
So, but yeah, and I really kept that crap going for a while. And then I kind of, you know, I wanted to be an actor and the resistance of it all was just, I was like, this is like, why do I keep making excuses? Like, I got to get out of this environment. And I got to go chase the dream. And I finally got the opportunity to do so. And I just sent it. And I told myself, I was like, I'm going to move to Atlanta and I'm going to cut back dramatically on the drinking thing. And I came here and I met you and stuff. And, you know, I didn't drink as much. You know, I might drink a couple, 3 times a month, maybe like, you know, the weekend or whatever we did. But I would still get annihilated on those nights.
I remember.
And it was just like, dude, I'd wake up with just a vicious hangover, and I get vicious hangovers.
We wouldn't see you for 3 days.
Yeah, crippling, dude. I had some hangovers that lasted 3 days, and you know, it got to the point where I was just like, I did 2 months. I watched an episode of the Huberman Lab, and he was like, if you do 2 months completely sober, you can like kind of reset your liver. That was essentially the idea, I think.
Okay.
Might have to fact check myself, but so I remember doing that, and I was like, wow, this was pretty easy actually. Like I did this. Then I just got back on the wagon. I was like, I'm gonna celebrate. I cracked a bottle of wine like that night.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. I got back on the wagon, And then, you know, I kept doing the same bullshit. Like, I would get so annihilated. There was one night when you were performing and I came out to see you, and I bought everybody in the bar a drink. I ran up a $300 tab, dude. I'm like super generous too. I'm a great drunk, dude. That's the problem. Like, a lot of it, and like I would rationalize this in my head. I'd be like, dude, I'm such a fun drunk. I'm affectionate. I'm kind. I'm generous. Like, I'm booling, and like, I'd wake up so hungover the next day with, I spent $400 at the bar that I don't have last night. What an idiot. Yeah. And I woke up one day and my car was at one bar, and across town, my credit card was at another bar. And I had to get to work in like a couple hours. Oh my gosh. And I remember I walked up to the mirror and I looked in my eyes and I said, I love you. It was like a real moment. I was like, and I'd said this a million times in the past. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done drinking, man. I'm done drinking. But I said it this time, and there was something different about it. There was just some weight to it. I was like, it was real. Actually, I said this to myself. I'm fucking done drinking.
You meant it.
And I meant it, and I haven't had a drink now in, almost a year and a half, or a year and, a few months, whatever. And
congrats, man.
Dude, thank you.
That's
and
huge.
Man, there was one time, I just got to say this too, because this was the kind of crap that I was getting myself into. There was one time, the owner of the bar that I used to work at, we were close, and he was great to me. And we would hang out after work sometimes and get bombed. And it was just one of those nights, and we ended up walking across the street there was another bar across the street, and those guys were cleaning up, so we're hanging out with them. Yeah, and we're hanging out with them, and we're ripping shots of Rumpelmints, we're just getting annihilated. And then the last thing I remember was we're eating at a Dunkin' Donuts right across the street, right next to it, and that was the last thing I remember. The next thing I remember, I woke up, and I'm surrounded by police officers.
What?
I'm still hammered. Like, it's in the morning now.
Was this at the bar?
Yeah. Apparently, I was out front, just passed out. And, I got like 4 cops surrounding me.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, dude, what the hell? What the fuck? And then the manager, the opening manager walks up. And I'm a manager of the bar. And it's just embarrassing, man. I got girls walking through, going to class, hitting up their friends. Yo, is Sean okay? People know me on the campus. I'm there every night. And the opening manager comes up. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, are you good, bro? And I'm like, nah, call me an Uber. I was going to get in my car because I felt okay. But then I realized I was still shit-faced.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to walk into my car in front of these cops. That'd be a boneheaded move.
Right.
So the kid calls me an Uber. And then I find out, the next day that, the cleaning guy, this Hispanic guy, apparently was in there cleaning. He cleans before we open. And I was in there, leaned up against a wall with my hoodie on, just leaning up against the wall. He didn't know it was me. So the dough guy comes in to drop off the pizza dough, and he's like, you got to call the cops, man. Oh my God. There's just a random dude just lurking in the corner. And that dude, I'm just in the corner with they don't. I'm just what is that? A demon, bro? Shit. So they called the cops, and somehow they must have got me outside. But it's just embarrassing when I'm here. People, it's just dude, what are you doing? Yeah. Right. So crap like that, you know what I mean? I can't get into some of the other crap that I did because people are gonna hear this. I can't have my mother watching that. So, but just stuff like that, man. I look back and I'm like, damn, it's pretty dope every day to put my feet on the ground and feel electric.
Yeah.
So there's not much I miss about drinking.
Right.
So
yeah. Do you ever get the urge slightly? Does it ever hit you?
I mean, I think what I miss the most is just catching that buzz. Mm-hmm. But I was somebody that once I caught that buzz, I couldn't let it go.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. So you kept, and I like liquor. I liked liquor. So, the shots were flowing. I wasn't somebody who just had a couple beers. I didn't even consider that drinking. Me and my friends used to joke, oh, you're not drinking? You're just having a couple beers.
Oh, my gosh.
So, it's just, I forget what you just asked me.
I don't remember, man. I was lost in your story. It was a good story.
I was cooking with gas.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, blessed, man, to be over a year sober. And I don't smoke weed anymore either. You know, now living in Georgia, like I could still get it obviously, but you know, I don't. It's somebody that it makes me lazy. I'm gonna talk about the weed thing real quick. I used to smoke all day long. Used to chief the bong all day long. You know, I'd smoke 10 times a day, like at one point, like, and I would do nothing. I wasn't the active high person. I was like the couch lock, you know, playing Super Smash, whacking a bag of Cheetos.
The typical high person.
Yeah. So I was like, man, this is gonna fuck my life up if I continue to smoke weed like this.
Sure.
And it got to the point, luckily, where I think your body can like recognize when something's really fucking you up, kind of. I started getting more and more anxious when I would smoke. Like it got to the point where I could hit the bong 10 times a day. Now I could only hit it a little bit. Then it got to the point where I could hit the bong and I was having a fucking panic attack. So I'm like, I'm just taking a few rips off a joint now. And it got to the point where I was just like, dude, fuck, I should just really not smoke weed.
Right. No matter what you do, you just fall into that
I'm just
state.
getting anxious. It's just making me anxious now. And I think that's my body's intuition, whatever you want to call it, way of being like, hey, stop doing this.
Right.
So, you know, I might smoke a couple. My family will smoke and stuff. They're up in Massachusetts where you can go to a dispensary. But, you know, now I enjoy it in moderation. I might smoke on Christmas Eve or something with my family and like maybe the 4th of July. And like, that's it when I'm home. Yeah. And it's great. And I have a great euphoric, creative, really fun high. And like, it's things are good in moderation and stuff.
Yeah.
But
balance, man.
Balance. Yeah. Balance.
All goes back to that.
Balance.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible that you made it through. You know what I mean? I think that I can't speak for other people who have gotten sober, but speaking for myself, I very often will hesitate to give myself credit for it. Just pat myself on the back because I'm such the type of person that's going, the job's not done.
Right.
So we can't celebrate until the job's not done.
Okay.
And, you know, I know that you need to celebrate these little victories. So it's huge, man. Congratulations.
Dude, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm like that too. It's like, I can't, I'm going to celebrate a year. Like, who gives a fuck? But no, you're right. Like, it is an accomplishment.
Huge deal, man.
Absolutely.
Most people have not gone a year without alcohol.
I'm sure a lot of people haven't gone a month since they started drinking.
It is, I don't even need to say this, but it's so ingrained in our culture. And I'm not saying that it's bad.
No,
per
I never
se,
said
but it's
that.
an incredible. It's such an incredibly slippery slope.
Yeah, it is crazy how ingrained it is into our culture. Everything you do, it got to the point. Like I remember, like I've been friends with my childhood crew. Kind of, we've been friends for forever, for 20-something years, and we used to have so much damn fun. Just obviously without alcohol, we're riding our bikes around town in middle school and shit. And then when we all started drinking, like every time we'd hang out, we would drink, kind of like it just becomes a thing. Oh, we're going out for drinks.
It's a habit.
You know what I mean?
It's a system.
So now that, you know, a couple of us aren't really drinking actually, and it's just like, well, what the fuck did we do? You know what I mean?
You realize I would like to bring up the concept of drunk friends because when you stop drinking, it's shocking how quickly people fall away from your life.
Right.
And how small your circle gets. It gets a lot stronger, in my opinion, but it gets really small. I mean, when I stopped drinking, I realized that, you know, I still love those people, but they are not my close friends. Right. And if that's the only thing we have in common is the drinks we like or the fact that we like to drink, that's not enough for me anymore. I mean, that's in my opinion a very shallow way to go about a relationship. So I just can't do that.
I want to mention something that you, before I officially got sober, you were getting sober, and you said something to me that reframed my whole way of thinking about it. And it's so simple. You were like, you were tracking it on your phone, like how many days you had been sober. And I was like, you know, because people always ask when they find out you're sober, they're like, you're sober? Like what? Really?
Right.
Why? They think you're an alien.
It's the only thing that people question if you don't do it.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, you know, any other kind of drug, people are going, "Oh, what's that like?" Oh,
Right, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sober. Really? What's wrong? What's wrong? They think something's wrong with you.
Right.
It's just interesting.
Quite
to
the
me.
opposite, actually.
Right. But you said something. You said, I asked you, I was like, naturally, I said why? Because, you know, sometimes it is. I want to know why a good friend of mine is, okay, you're not drinking? Why? I
Yeah.
asked you, I was like, why? And you were like, because it's not serving me right now.
I'm a
That
genius.
like, dude, that like blew my head off. I was like, wait a minute. I started thinking about my whole life and like how alcohol has never really served me. And I was like, damn, it's a wild way of thinking about everything, kind of.
Yeah, I think thinking about things through the lens of service allows you to detach from stuff without there being any kind of aggression or negative connotation about it.
Right.
Because you're acknowledging that it has a place in the world, right? But it's not serving me specifically at this time.
Right.
And at that time, alcohol was not serving me. It was in no way making my life better.
Right.
Especially in a social sense. I mean, that wasn't anything I couldn't achieve sober.
Right. That's something I realized too.
Yeah.
It's like I can still have a lot of fun. Like sober me is a dope person.
Right.
Clear-headed, sharp. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it's some things are better, I'd argue. I remember them more clearly. Like
I mean, yeah.
almost. Yeah.
The way I see it, if I see you less because you're sober, that's fine, because when I see you, I'm getting the real you.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, we go out drinking together all the time. I see you all the time, but I really don't know what's going on in your head.
Right.
Because it's hidden behind, you know,
6 tequila
gin and
shots.
tonic.
Yeah.
There's kind of two schools of thinking. It's interesting that people, but you know, there's the kind of psychedelic approach to mind altering substances that it opens your mind, and then there's, you know, the class of drugs that inhibits your mind. I find that really fascinating. I think that you know, finding the distinction between those two, because I am in no way anti-psychedelic.
Absolutely not.
You know, I absolutely love a good
Me too.
how you doing
Me
every
too.
now and then,
Me too.
but yeah, it's like, get the bad shit out of your life, the stuff that's not serving you.
The stuff that's not serving you.
It doesn't have to be a violent exodus. It can be
Right.
peaceful. You can just wish it on its way and let it go serve other people. Because for some people, it probably does serve them.
Maybe.
In some type of way. I mean, that's their perspective. That's not up to me to decide. But yeah, it's simple.
Right. Tell me about how, you know, where you started and, the Aaron RIZZO.
Sure. So, I mean, kind of going back to college, I obviously had some, you know, experiences in high school that were, you know, foundational in this problem.
Right.
But I didn't go to a party school. So I didn't really engage that much in kind of really intense college partying culture, because it just didn't exist on my campus.
Right.
And it was more so a weed campus, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that was really my vice at first. I wasn't, you know, a huge drinker, but, you know, kind of towards my end of, and the end of my time at college, I really started getting into drinking pretty heavily, to the point where I was just, you know, fisting 2 wine bottles
Right.
at a party and being fine. And, you know, when your tolerance is that high, it's time to check yourself.
Yeah, for real.
And being a musician and being in that culture and so close to that and so ingrained in almost all corners of that, being a producer, engineer, performing artist, recording artist, just touring musician, like all of it, it is so ever present throughout everything.
Right.
You cannot get away from it in that industry. And it became a problem. I mean, I just loved the feeling of being drunk. Like the same way I loved eating good food. And I was like, I think I like this a little too much.
That's kind of where I was too.
Yeah, and it was getting to the point where I was drinking before shows and just getting pissed drunk before we would play.
Would it affect your performance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that, cognitive distortion there where you think you sound incredible.
Right.
When you're drunk and you hear a video back of yourself, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah, that's rough. And I know anybody listening who is a performer that has gone through anything like this can give me an amen on that. But I don't know, man. It was just becoming a problem. It was like, okay, maybe I'll have a beer before the show, and then there's a cooler full of beers in the green room. Maybe I'll have 3 or 4. Right. Because I was getting. This was at the point where I was getting a little cocky as a musician. I was like, I'm good.
It wasn't a nerves thing?
No,
not
okay. Really. I was just like, I like the way it makes me feel, and at the time I thought I was good enough to be like, I can play drunk. I viewed it as a substance that would unlock part of my brain.
Interesting.
Because I would, think differently, but those thoughts weren't good.
Right.
And especially with playing, I think reaction time is really important in music and stuff like that. And like all of the things that alcohol suppresses are really important to me with music. Aside from nerves, but I wasn't drinking for the nerves.
Right.
I was drinking because I really just liked the way I felt when I was hammered.
Right.
And there was one gig in particular I remember. We were playing at a brewery, and so it was free beer, and I was just throwing back IPAs before the show.
Oof.
And I must have had 3 or 4 of the strongest IPA on the menu before we played. And I remember walking up on stage and literally stumbling up to the mic.
Oh, Jesus.
And thinking about it that the next day and when I sobered up, it just being so embarrassed. And I realize now how much it takes to put on a good performance. And looking back, I just can't believe that I thought I was going to be able to do that.
Right.
Under that much influence. And had a couple, when I lived back in New York, had a couple just really, really dark nights with alcohol and in terms of blacking out, not even remembering where I was, how did I get home.
Dude, that's the scariest shit.
Yeah, it just like, I don't know, man. And the effect it has on your mental health and your self-esteem, really. I mean, I had to stop smoking weed because I would smoke and I would play guitar along to Spotify, just jamming, kind of getting like chopping. And my music would come on and I would hear it and I would go, this is the most dog shit music I've ever heard. I was like, this music is so stupid and corny and embarrassing. And these high thoughts, man, I don't know what it was, but my self-esteem would just crumble.
Dude, I started getting like that when I was mentioning how, weed would make me, it slowly I started becoming more anxious and stuff. I would have those thoughts where like, I'm fucking lame. Like I'm like sitting in a room with all my friends who all fucking love me. And like the normal me would be cracking jokes and like contributing to the conversation. But I noticed myself kind of going into this shell.
Right.
And I'd have this thought and I'd be like, oh no, I can't say that. It's fucking lame. Like I'm fucking lame. Like it's just like, dude, what the fuck is good right now?
Yeah. You just become way too aware of your own existence and it just becomes incredibly embarrassing to be alive. And I hate that feeling. And I mean, there's a couple other reasons too. I mean, there's a history of alcoholism on one side of my family, and
likewise,
it's just, you want to be the one to break the cycle, and it's just, it has a lot. I don't want to give it that much power, but it is very powerful, and ultimately, my decision to get sober did not come out of the fact that I was drinking myself drunk every single day. I wouldn't have really considered myself an alcoholic. I could be wrong, but I I just liked it too much.
That's kind of where
like I
was,
said,
yeah.
and I was just thinking, you know what? I think it's time to nip this in the bud after, you know, a couple embarrassing experiences. I mean, I was in a relationship at the time of when it was really bad, you know, 4-ish years ago, and we would get into fights, and it was just messy, man.
Right.
Everything just got messier when I was drunk, and it just became. It took on an identity of its own, and it became a very embarrassing part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taking my body for granted, my health for granted. I mean, you're young, you think you're invincible, and you know that shit catches up to you, man.
Dude,
and like
yeah.
the long when your hangover lasts more than a day, it's time to probably hang up the towel on binge drinking every weekend.
Yeah.
And
I would go on some like 3-day benders where it's like I barely slept.
Yeah.
And it would take me a long time to recover, and you know, it was just so when I look back, I'm like, man, like I did some damage to myself.
Right.
It's so shitty, and I'm such a creature of my environment. Like I would drink all the time at the bar, but when COVID happened, I came home and was out of work for a little while, and like I didn't drink. I didn't really desire to drink. I think now I realize, like, man, like I'm not addicted to the shit, but I always want the shit when I'm in that environment.
Right.
It's just interesting. So
Yeah. And you know, we're blessed to have had the cognition to make that decision before it got too bad.
I think you're a big part of it.
Well, I agree, man. I mean, talk about accountability, you know, the fact that we're both sober and we can sort of hold each other accountable in this way. And that, you know, like in the last episode, how we talked about, you know, peaking LeConte sober and having that moment together. I mean, it's a journey that I feel grateful to be on with you.
Right,
and
me too.
It's not easy doing this shit alone, man.
Congratulations to you too.
Likewise, dude.
Yeah.
Cheers, I'll drink to that, bro.
It's a weapon.
Yeah. So I don't know. Sober has been great for me. I feel healthier. I'm taking care of my body. I'm eating better. It's just my mind.
What's your stance on the eating thing? What do you?
I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
What good choices are.
Right. I think food matters big time.
Absolutely.
We're talking about health and wellness here.
Yeah, and if you want to even go as far to talk about your mood and your mental health, I think food plays a huge role in that too. I mean, you think of my body as an engine, right? And if you're feeding it bullshit fuel,
right,
it's going to perform like
shit.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's I really don't buy into this idea that eating well is really difficult.
I agree.
Because here's the thing. I understand that for some folks, financially, buying groceries is difficult. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to point the finger at everybody and be like, if you're not doing this, you're a piece of shit, right? That's not how I feel. But if you have the means to buy groceries and it's between you making the right choice and the wrong choice, then there's really no excuse.
Right.
I mean, just Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Whole Foods, man.
That's it, man.
Like vegetables, fruits, you know, clean meat. It's simple. And I think there's this idea that eating healthy isn't glamorous.
I mean, I'm kind of a plant-based eater.
And we're very opposite in that way.
Yeah, you eat some meat, which that's totally cool. I think it's healthier to eat a plant-based diet, but that's not a debate we're gonna have right now. But if it has more than one ingredient, it's probably not that great for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like highly processed foods, even these like fake meats and stuff.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm just checking the recording.
Oh, okay. Like I don't think those are that good for you. It might be better than the, meat itself, but I don't know. But vegetables, eat a shit ton of vegetables with every meal. Yeah. You'll feel better. Dude, here's a big thing for me. It's like, you can be, I could get hit by a fucking school bus tomorrow, but it's not about, it is about longevity. Obviously, I want to live a long life, but I want to live every day of my life feeling good.
Right.
That's a big thing. Like, I want to feel good.
Right.
I don't want to feel like ass every day.
Yeah, that's
know
a
what I mean?
horrible feeling. I mean, it goes back to drinking, man. It's the same thing.
Right.
Think about all the days you've burned being hungover. And a huge thing for me, too, is if there ever comes a point where I have people in my life that depend on me to survive, i.e. children,
Right.
a family or something, I would really like to stack the deck in my favor
100%.
in terms of living long and seeing them grow up and living for their whole life.
And you want to
think-
be able to like be healthy enough to move around, and
Right.
throw the ball around, chase them around a little bit.
Yeah, and it's, to
Like my dad might still be able to whoop my ass in a race.
really
Like the dude can move.
like a running race.
Maybe I might have him now, but for most of my life, he could still.
How old's your dad?
He's
Putting you on the spot here.
no, he's 57. 57.
Oh, okay.
57.
Well,
yeah.
good for him. man.
I'd probably beat him in a race. He's got tight hamstrings, but
I could definitely beat my dad in a race.
but dude, the dude plays hockey like whatever once or a couple times a week. It's
incredible, man.
He's on the move, which I admire that about him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. My dad plays in a soccer league once a week.
that's dope.
It's great.
That's dope.
Yeah.
He's more active than probably most people his age.
And younger.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's really easy to just go for a walk. You know what I mean?
There's really no excuse not to move your body.
Right. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and have a 4-day split, blah, 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 this and that. It's like, you don't have to start there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But just walking, just going for a walk, it's great for your mental health, getting out in the sunshine.
Walking is amazing, man.
Yeah, I think I have
If you want to lose weight, eat whole foods and walk every day for an hour, you will lose weight.
Yeah, it's like like a lot of my best ideas have come on walks too, and it just helps me clear my mind. And there's this interesting part in The Creative Act by Rick Rubin where he talks about kind of more subconscious stuff like that, i.e. walking, showering, driving, stuff that you can kind of just zone out and do. Mm-hmm. Those activities occupy the really, really loud part of your brain so that the quiet, creative part can work and focus. And it's why you have a lot of your best ideas in the shower, in the car, while you're walking.
Damn, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. It's
I
interesting.
do get some banger ideas in the shower.
Yeah, and it's enough. It's enough of a distraction to quiet that part of your mind, but it's not so much that it takes over your whole mind.
Right. It's like a trance kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's flow state.
Right.
And you can feel when you get into flow state. And for me, walking is a great way to do that.
Right. That's probably the move. You just catch me taking 3-hour long showers.
Oh my gosh, our water bill's to the roof.
Yeah, the hell, Gil.
Yeah.
I just come out, I'm looking like a raisin.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I mean, the food thing is complicated, because everybody's in different circumstances and has access to different things.
Right.
Ideally, everybody would have equal access to whole foods, but, unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. But if you do have access to whole foods, then there's really no excuse to not be doing it.
Yeah, I feel like you got to be aware of all the misinformation, too, that gets in this industry, the health industry, like just, the diet pills, the fucking all
the
that
fads.
Crap. Yeah, the fad diets. Like I see people I know well buying in all that crap.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it's much simpler than that.
And I think the fad diets are predatory towards people who want things to happen very quickly.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you can't, get healthy very quickly on some of those, but in terms of longevity and sustainability, I think if you just it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be some diet or anything. Just like eat whole foods and try to move your body every day.
Right.
And that has worked for me. Again, I would like to reiterate that this is all anecdotal.
What have you been doing lately?
I
feel like you've been on your grind.
Yeah, I've been really dialed in lately, or trying to be. So going back to systems,
Yeah.
right? I actually have my systems here. call me a psycho, but I wrote this stuff down.
Did you frame it?
I did frame it.
When did you do this?
This was maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks. No, this is longer than that.
Cut the shit. Look
maybe
at that.
maybe a month ago. I just kind of wrote down my goals for the next 365 days in terms of my career, fitness, relationships / social, and then these are my systems at the bottom, right? So it's 8 hours of sleep, Whole Foods, gym. I should specify. I try to do 90% Whole Foods, 10% leeway, because I think if you deal in absolutes, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. But
true.
Try to go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week. I want to keep my room and studio clean, and this last point is arguably the most important one. But I need to make my bed every day, and because if you make your bed every day, you start your day with a win.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right?
Yeah, I haven't gotten on the bed making kind yet.
You should try.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. You just remind yourself that it takes less than 30 seconds.
Right.
And so for my career and music, do you mind if I run through these? Is that cool? Because honestly, I'm kind of using this as accountability, right? I'm speaking this out loud. I'm putting it in the public realm.
Whoop your ass.
That's right. For my career / music, I would like to have a song surpass 1 million streams for Aaron RIZZO, right? Not for any side projects. And for all these, I put how, right? How are we going to do it? We're going to do playlisting, promotion, music video, TikTok, ads, all that stuff.
Yeah. Did you put the podcast in there?
No, I didn't.
Idiot.
I didn't, but the podcast should be in here, man. Yeah. Maybe I can make an amendment.
Yeah, keep going.
The other one for my career music is release my 4th album, right? How?
Yes.
We have studio days booked.
Let's get it
done. Hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out, we'll probably have already recorded it.
Yeah, we're stockpiling some episodes, but we'll be live.
Yep. And then I have fitness goals. I would like to. I put eat whole foods 90-10. Shop smarter, more time at your DeKalb Farmers Market, right? Very easy and cost effective way to eat whole foods. And meal prepping, I think that's a great way to do it. A lot of times I'll just make a ton of ground beef or chop up vegetables or whatever.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to bench press 200 pounds. And I want to be clear, this is not the only part of my body that I'm focusing on, but so to speak, I'm kind of using it as a benchmark.
Because you got massive legs, bro.
Dude, my leg.
You got to get some.
I have a 13-layer Oreo crumble presidential wedding cake on my behind. It's got a fucking zip code, dude.
It's like that spider from last episode.
That's right. But bench press and upper body strength is always something that I have fallen short with. And so that's been something I've really been focusing on. So I'm at 185 right now. So I think I'm going to hit it hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to be able to run a 6-minute mile.
Okay.
What?
That's cooking.
Okay. Yeah, we're cooking. This is something I was able to do in high school.
Okay.
For varsity soccer, we had to run 2 miles in 12 minutes, and I was one of 2 people that was able to do it. My first mile time, it was the fastest mile I ever ran. It was a 5:40.
Okay, word.
It was absurd, but kind of more incorporating a little bit more specific focus running training into my routine to do that. I'd like to wake up at 7 a.m. every day. And how am I going to do this? I'm going to place my phone across the room so I have to physically get out of bed to turn off my alarm.
Okay.
That's my problem.
I like that.
Because I just go.
I like that. Yeah, I'm a snooze button killer, man.
I'm a snooze king, man.
Yeah.
10,000 steps a day. I'll just get up early.
You go for a fat walk.
Go for a walk, meet the missus at the coffee shop, do the thing. Nice. And then morning routine, man, which is a huge one for me, which is sunlight, water. I try to get electrolytes early in the morning and going for a walk.
Man, you do all those things, you'll be a killer.
Yeah, just over time, just consistency and just time, man. Just doing it relentlessly for an extended period of time.
Yeah. You got relationship stuff or
I do.
Friendship?
I have 2 points for relationships / social, and the first one is be more present.
Okay.
This is something I've always struggled with. I tend to disassociate.
I think meditation would help you a lot if you build a meditation.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe before you go on your walk or something, you do a 10-minute. There was a part in my life where I was pretty depressed, and I started meditating every day religiously, and I hated my job, and it was took a year off from school, and I was doing this crappy job. I was delivering beer on a beer truck.
Holy crap.
And it was not good. I hated it. But I would meditate every day. And I was so content with my life that it was like, it was fucking wild, bro.
Yeah.
Like it made me realize, like, if you can control your mind to some extent, you can, so give it a shot. There's some great apps.
Yeah, I will. Thank you for that suggestion, man. I appreciate that. My last point was be honest with people. This is something, I'm a people pleaser.
Me too.
I struggle with sometimes telling people the truth if I know it's going to hurt them. And that mostly comes in the form of being comfortable. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but like pushing people out of my life that are not serving me in a positive way, you know, what the relationships that have turned sour or whatever. Sometimes it's very hard for me to be honest and just be like, hey, I want to be real with you. I don't really want to be friends with you anymore.
Have you ever said that to anyone?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think I've been like, yeah, we're done as friends.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. That's really bold to say something like that.
Yeah.
But like, kind of just as an idea, right? Being able to be that honest with people.
Yeah.
And, you know, that when I work with artists in the studio, this is something I'm getting better at. But looking at them and going, that was absolutely fucking horrible. You know, like, I don't say it like that, but just the idea of, I'm going to be honest with you if it's going to help.
Yeah.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah. I'm sick of being afraid, to be honest.
Right.
Right. So that's been a huge resolution of mine. And
I like that one.
Thank you. And so these are my systems.
Yeah.
I'll show the camera.
Yeah.
I signed it on October 17th, 2024. And my goal was to have all of these systems in place and locked in the next 365 days.
I'm going to make one of those.
You should.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on the next episode.
Yeah, maybe we will.
Absolutely.
Well, it was a pleasure, bro. You got anything else you want to add?
Is that it? Is that all we had to talk about?
I think that was kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe just some closing thoughts. Like, wellness is a journey, and healing doesn't happen in a straight line.
Was that Emily Dickinson?
I don't know.
I'm just fucking with you.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
I actually worked with an artist in Syracuse who used that lyric in a song. So shout out Sav. You know Sav.
Yeah, she's building like her house. Like, it's sick. Yeah,
that's great.
Well,
she used that lyric in a song. She goes, "Healing doesn't happen in a straight line," and it kind of just blew the classical music out my butt. Man, it was a really cool moment.
Hell yeah.
And it's really, really difficult to progress and heal in the same place that has been holding you back.
Yeah, you can't heal in the place you got sick in.
Right. And it's, forget all of the dieting and this and all that, blah, 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 whatever. Surround yourself with good people and everything will fall into place. That's advice that my sister gave me when I was young, and I have adhered to that stronger than anything else in my life, and it has gotten me to where I am today.
Yep.
All you have to do is make sure that everyone around you is not a piece of shit.
Yeah, because I've been surrounded by some toxic people in my life.
Right.
Man, you don't even realize sometimes that you're getting the life sucked out of you until you walk out of that situation.
It's like someone who needs glasses but has never worn them.
Didn't know they existed.
Right.
Yeah,
and then they put the glasses on, they're going, that's so incredibly clear, dude.
Yeah.
Shit. But anyway, eat your fucking vegetables. Get some sunlight in your face.
Go for a fucking walk.
That's right, dude.
Yeah.
And tell people you love them and take care of people that you love and protect those around you and stand for what's right in your life, and everything will be cool.
No notes.
No notes.
Episode 2, baby. Bang.